Well, welcome to West Country Wanderings. Welcome to a very windy and blustery Weston Super Mare in the county of North Somerset. Although later on in today's video, we'll be, sorry about the wobbly footage, it's so windy, we'll be heading into Somerset as we cross over the River Axe, because we're heading to Brean Down and Brean Beach. I have been there before, not last year, but the year before last. And I couldn't get to Brean Fort because I was turned away because of the really heavy, squally showers that we had then. Hopefully there'll be no rain today though, but it will be windy. It is cold, hence the hat. It's early January here, 2025. This is my first proper wander this year. We are promised blue skies today, so it always makes the coast look more photogenic, doesn't it? Lots of history to tell you about. Our first destination and port of call though will be uphill, which is a really interesting place. Iron Age fort originally. There is a ruined church there, remains of a windmill, and also it has scientific importance because it was the first place and first item was a piece of bone that was identified using carbon dating in the whole of the British Isles. So I hope you can join me today on a very blistery but very blue sky day here in North Somerset, heading to Somerset from Weston Super Mare to Brean Down. It's a nice little craft shop here along the promenade called Western Makers. It's crafts that are made by artists around the Weston Super Mare area. Looks like it's going to stay open for 2025 following more support. I must admit that's something I didn't have in my notes. Haile Selassie, who's the Emperor of Ethiopia, stayed here visiting the pool while he was in exile in Bath between 1936 and 1940. Wow, that's quite a claim here in Weston Super Mare. So this is the Tropicana. It was used as the ice scape, I think, during the Christmas period, which started in November and it finished on the 5th of January, so that closed just a couple of days ago. But it has been used for other functions. Hopefully it will be restored fully and be opened again for tourists. So that's where we're heading on our destination today, Brean Down, which divides Western Bay from Bridgewater Bay. It looks like it's not very far from this direction, but we have to navigate and go round the estuary of the River Axe. There is a tidal bathing pool here. I don't think that's got any takers today. It's about 4 or 5 degrees here in Weston Super Mare, but it's good to see quite a few people out enjoying the wintry sunshine. There is a kiosk here, but that's all shut up for winter. The Clifton kiosk, so no teas or ice creams from there today. I love these shelters because they provide a welcome shelter away from that quite severe wind blowing across Bristol Channel at the moment from the South Wales direction. They were restored, I think, well, they started the year before last. Now, Brean Down itself is a lump of Carboniferous limestone. It's the most southerly lump in Great Britain, so beyond that there's no Carboniferous limestone, and it was formed around 300 to 350 million years ago with tectonic activity in this area. So I think I need to keep moving and keep the pace up. I've got quite a way to go today. I think it's about 8.5 to 9 miles. There is a little bit of an additional diversion because there's a sluice gate and you can't actually follow the River Axe. You can only use that for 2 months of the year. I've got more details about that below, but it's the bit where we cross over from North Somerset, where we are at the moment here in Weston Super Mare, into Somerset proper. But you can normally follow it around, well, you can for 2 months a year, but we'll have to head inland following a road bridge and then making our way into Brean. And then I think I'll walk along the road rather than the sand. Now, when I was on the train down here, I got the train here to Weston Super Mare today. I came on at Dursley station changed at Bristol Temple Meet. And the ticket inspector, when I got on a cam in Dursley, he said, "Oh, where am I off to today?" And I explained. He said, "I did that walk a few weeks ago." He said, "I didn't realise that you couldn't go along there, so it meant a little bit of diversion." He said, "Word of warning," he said, "it's a beautiful walk, there's lots to see, but walking on the sand is a killer for your muscles you don't use in the upper part of your body." So I think I'll take his advice and use the roadway to avoid any undue muscle strain or unnecessary muscle strain. It just runs parallel to it, but we will catch up with the beach when we make our way up to Brean Down headland. So we're now leaving Royal Sands and the town of Weston Super Mare and heading on to a suburb called Uphill, which has historical importance. You can now just see the fort at the far end of Brean Down, which is where we're heading for, but we've got a long way to go before we get there. Now, cars on this car park are allowed to park right on the beach. It reminds me of Port Stewart in Northern Ireland, where you can do that. There aren't many places in the West Country where you can, but you can certainly park here on the beach. There's a surprising number of people walking along this section of the beach. This is a really popular one. I'm not sure if that's the RNLI or just, I think it might be just the local council, North Somerset Council, ensuring that the beach is kept clear. Rubbish and debris, especially with the high winds. It's actually the first time I've been walking on the beach for a little while. I can't remember. I did end up in Exmouth after my collab with Louise from Southwest Sundays. Just before Christmas we had a canal cruise, canal river and sea cruise. In fact, we ended up at Exmouth. But by the time we got to Exmouth, it was dark. You couldn't see anything. So it's good to be back on the coast again, here on West Country Wanderings. Now, this area here is staked off for a very good reason, because according to that sign there, they have danger sinking mud. So you don't want to go the other side of those white markers there, or some of them are painted white, the sticks there. We're continuing along this way at the moment. Very enjoyable here, very bracing, but it's good to see some sunshine. Now, I love bringing this sort of format video, coastal walking videos, to you here on West Country Wanderings, because I feel it's what the heart of the channel is all about, getting out and about and enjoying the coast and the fresh air. Unfortunately, I am somewhat hampered by the weather, because coast always looks nice on days like today, but we have had a really grotty November and December. Although November and December can be okay weather-wise, sometimes you do get some nice sunny days. There was a heck of a lot of very overcast days and very stormy, very wet days, which is not at all suitable for filming walks on the coast. But I'm glad to be back on the coast today. I hope to be featuring a lot of coast on my channel again this year in 2025. Now, this is where we leave the beach again. Now, I am going to go on a little bit of a shortcut, because I have to do a long cut later on because of the closure of the Axe estuary. But I'll include a map now so you know exactly what I mean, and I'll also include a link to the map in the description of today's video. They're actually doing pipe work here at the moment, so theoretically that path is closed, but he let me through. Hopefully it'll be open. I think it just goes on for a couple more weeks, so by the time this goes out and you decide to do this walk for yourselves, hopefully it'll be reopened. And that through there is Weston Super Mare's golf club, right next to the beach. Isn't that great? And so this was the choice I was talking about. So this is a North Somerset tidal trail, part of the coastal path around the whole of England. And so yeah, we're going to go uphill Marina Way. You can go that way, which going the way I'm going is going to save us about 3/4 of a mile. But I hope to go to uphill on the way back to the top of it. And there's our sign again, Brean Cross Sluice, 2 miles. Now, this is the site of 2 lime kilns here. One was for white lime, also known as quick lime, which is used for explosives. And it was directly from the quarry here, which is just behind there. And it's still in operation during the 19th century. I was just trying to see what the other lime kiln was. It doesn't actually say there. Oh, brown. Brown is the other type of kiln here. Brown lime by burning pebbles of a clay limestone. So that's a limestone lias clay, which was imported from Aberthaw on the other side of the Bristol Channel in South Wales. So Uphill Marina does have a cafe, the boathouse, bar and bistro there, which is handy. And also here you have a little plaque, which is a really nice tribute to dogs that have walked along the coast path here that have sadly passed away. Lots of names on there. And we have another lime kiln here, which was used to produce whitewash lime for painting houses, protect the mortar on them, and also for liming the fields to help their fertilisation. So we're now coming into Uphill Hill Local Nature Reserve, a double hill there, run by North Somerset Council. Had been before a couple of years ago, well, a few years ago. It does say there's cattle on the hill, but we're going to continue along this way towards Brean Down. And you can see the huge slice of Uphill Hill, which has been taken out because of that quarry and the lime kilns here producing the fertiliser and the ingredients for explosives, as well as fertilising the fields. And the whitewash too. At the marina here, Uphill Marina, you have a boating lake as well, so the coast is on the other side of that. So we're going a bit inland now as we make our way around the River Axe. And there's also a campsite here, as well as a place for mooring boats. So now we've got a great view looking back at Uphill, and it's abandoned Norman church, which is now roofless. I'm hoping to get a closer look at that later on. So I'm going to cut across there and go on a different way back to Weston Super Mare railway station on my return. You can just make out there the top of that, which used to be a building which had a windmill. You can understand why you want to build a windmill there. I'm surprised actually. Well, I'm not surprised because obviously it's a protected area, but it would make a great site for a wind turbine because it's very, very windy up there. We're going to cut across there because all this land here is open access land. And yeah, so this is the site of Iron Age fortifications and much else besides. So it goes long back, and we'll talk more about that on our return. Just see a train going past there, heading south towards Exeter, and I think just round there, those probably won't come out. I can just see in the distance, a far distance there across the Somerset levels, in the centre of the screen, I do believe that, is Glastonbury Tor. Icon here in Somerset. This is the entrance here to Walborough Nature Reserve, managed by the Avon Wildlife Trust, because they cover North Somerset. We're not quite yet in the county of Somerset. See, the land has changed here utterly since we left Weston Super Mare, and now you can see that this land is changing to become the Somerset levels. Now this section is also the West Mendip Way. I can't remember the exact distance that goes. I'll put the details on that below. But again, you can see our church there, Norman Church, over there at Uphill. This section now is the Brean Down Way, the 8-mile route for walkers and cyclists from Weston Super Mare to Brean Down Fort. So it is a cycle route as well, so it's good walking because it's a good flat surface. There's no problems with sliding and mud along here. Now, as an alternative to doing the walk I'm doing today, you can actually carry on to Burnham-on-Sea and then go on over to Highbridge stations, about a mile difference between the two, and do it that way. The word of warning though is that walking on the sand between Brean and Burnham is quite difficult. So you've got the added miles with doing it that way, and also walking on the sand is a lot more tiring as well, so watch out for that if you decide to go on the circular bit heading towards Highbridge railway station. So I'm now on the Bleedon Levels Nature Reserve, which is actually managed not by Avon Wildlife Trust but by Wessex Water, because I have some tanks which are over here, some water facility. We have another sign coming up as well. So there we go. So that's Uphill Marina, 1.5 miles. That's where we've just come from. And Brean Cross Sluice is now just 3/4 of a mile away through this gate over here. Yeah, so it's actually the main recycling centre for Weston Super Mare, run by Wessex Water. And just to confirm where we are, National Cycle Route Network number 33 on the Brean Down Way. Well, I think we're shortly coming up to Brean Cross Sluice, which will take us into the county of Somerset, leaving North Somerset behind us here. And we'll be taking a slightly different route, although I won't be filming so much on the way back. What I will be doing is using a different lens and giving you some different shots, some of which I hope to have included now as we'll make our way towards Brean and Brean Down. But yeah, this is a very different walk that I did on Boxing Day when we were in the, not a difficult walk, I'm going at a higher pace. That one was a gentle one, post-Christmas walk there on Boxing Day in the Cotswolds, just savouring the sounds of nature. Here, obviously, it's much more of a blowy day. Hard to hear the birds with the wind noise, I guess, but hoping to give you a flavour of what you can see. Brean Down, in fact, is now behind us over there, so we're now on the other side of Brean Down to what we saw when we left the town of Weston Super Mare back there, and we'll be cutting through the village of Brean, where obviously there's lots of holiday camps, walking along the road rather than the sand for reasons I explained, and then up onto Brean Down itself, which is where I'm going to have my lunch before the return trip. So here is the entrance gates to Brean Cross Sluice, and I think these are bird hides here, and there, over there, you can just make out the top of the River Axe. Now the River Axe rises in the Mendips. In fact, I think it is initially a subterranean river, and it surfaces near the village of Wookey Hole and the caves and all that around there in that area, not far from the city of Wells, just a couple of miles away from Wells. In fact, Wookey and Wookey Hole and the caves and all that is somewhere I would like to do and show you on the channel. I don't know how feasible that's going to be, but yeah, there's a famous paper mill there as well, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. These are the hides here, and these are the bird screens of Brean, what they're called, to protect them. And it does tell us here why they're this shape. And they're designed by Katie Hallett to reflect piles of driftwood as if heaved by tides and washed up by storms against the groin. So it was a 150-metre screen to protect birdlife roosting grounds on the mudflats away from the walkers and cyclists that are on this track here towards Brean Down. So yeah, I think it's pretty effective. I think it looks pretty effective, and hopefully it'll be screening the birds away so they're not frightened by us and our presence here on the Brean Down Way. Telling us that yeah, that way, 16th of May to 15th of July, that's open. It's closed to protect the bird life. We've come 4 3/4 miles from the town of Weston Super Mare, and we've got 4 miles to go till we get to Brean Down Fort. Kestrel out there, you may not be able to see it with the lens on I have at the moment, but it's just flying above the path. It's a lovely sight. So we're now in the village of Brean. There are some facilities here, but being out of season, not many of them are open today. So here we are in the main intersection in the centre of Brean. To the left takes you to the town of Burnham Sea here in Somerset, and also to Brean's twin, Barrow. In fact, Brean's church is just to the left of me. I've been to Barrow before here on the channel when I was at Burnham. A couple of times we've done Burnham now. And to the right is where we're heading to the beach and Brean Down. So here we are on the wide and exhilaratingly windy expanse of Brean Beach, which is huge, the biggest beach in the county of Somerset. And over there on the horizon you can see South Wales with the sunshine lighting upon it. So about 1/2 to 3/4 a mile away from the base of Brean Down. And I think I'm going to need to take a short break there because I haven't stopped yet, I haven't had a break yet, just to get some energy on board, because it is quite a steep climb up onto Brean Down itself before we have a look around there are making our return journey back to Weston Super Mare. So I'm not bothered if I get to kind of uphill and it's getting dark, because then I'm walking along the streets of Weston and it'll be lit then by street lights. But obviously I need to make good progress over in that direction, because there's no lights between here and the village of Uphill. So but the approaches to Uphill are fairly wide and flat, as you saw. So but I need to get away from here before nightfall, which today I think is going to be about 4:45. At the moment it is 12:30. Now there is a Brean Land Yacht Club here. I think this actually started here at Brean in 1970, but no takers for the beach here for the yachters today. So as I thought, the National Trust Cafe isn't open today, but I'm well prepared with food and hot drinks with me, which I think I will need before tackling the steps up there to the top of Brean Down. Well, I didn't think that the cafe was open today, but it is. I'm actually upstairs. It's got a second-hand bookshop here, nice seating area, beautiful views through the windows there. Had that wind for a bit. Just going to have my hot chocolate with gluten-free flapjack. So we've now refueled. Nice hot chocolate with flapjack. I had a sandwich as well and some water, ready to tackle the steep climb up to Brean Down. Always amazing views as you climb up Brean Down. That's where we were earlier. Just make out the church on the hill there, old hill, and the marina in front of it. So that's looking back towards the town of Weston Super Mare. You can just make out Burnbet Pier undergoing restoration. Did a separate video on that about 18 months ago. And Weston Bay. So I'm finding this quite an energising walk. Sorry for the wind noise and the shaky footage with a strong gusty wind, although to be fair it's not as gusty as it was last time I was here. I last time had some very squally showers and I had to head back to my car, which is only just down the way there in the car park. But today of course we've walked from Weston the long way round, but I have got waterproofs if needed, but I'm hoping not. Lovely to see the sun out. So it's now about 1:15 and we start our walk to Brean Down Fort, where I'll kind of close the video off a bit, and I'm going to swap over my camera so I can use my telephoto lens. It's difficult juggling both, so I need to swap my cameras up, especially as it's a windy day today. And then I'll do another little piece to camera when I make my way back to Uphill and the Norman Church there on my route back to Weston. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the walk. It's a great New Year walk, this one. As I say, it's the first proper wander here on West Country Wanderings for 2025. If you haven't already watched one of my videos so far this year, Happy New Year and all the best. Hope you have a cracking 2025. Let's continue the walk. Now, the ridge of this hill here does remind me somewhat, if you take away the channel and replace it with land, similar to the Malverns in terms of shape. Well, yes, they do have something in common. Of course, that's the Cambrian nature, but the Malvern hills are older than this one here by some 500 million years. Now, though we have the views from this angle, we do also have the wind, which can be a little bit taxing at times. So there is a lower path, so when I come back from the fort and head back to Weston Super Mare, I'm going to take that one on my return journey. So now it's about 3 hours since I set off from Weston Super Mare railway station. We've got about half a mile or so to go. I think we've covered about 7.5 miles so far. So it's looking like it could be 16 miles return trip from Weston to Weston Super Mare railway station from the fort, the way we're going. Be a little bit less when that path is open in the peak of the summer though. But yes, exhilarating walk, but I won't be filming on the way back. I'll just be heads down walking back, but I don't know what the lighting situation's going to be like by the time I get there. But at the moment here, it's absolutely perfect in terms of sunlight and views. On the top of the down here, we can actually see the Carboniferous limestone exposed from its creation all those millions of years ago. And now we can just see Flatholm and Steepholm in front of us, and the land of Brean Down just dips away into the Bristol Channel. And finally here on West Country Wanderings, we made it to Brean Down Fort. I didn't think I'd ever get to see it, to be honest, so it eluded me last time because of the weather, but we made it here today. Let's get down there and I'll tell you some more about it. You can also make out the city of Cardiff over there, lit in the sunlight at the moment. See if I can get a telephoto shot of that shortly. So the fort here was built between 1864 and 1871. In fact, it was one of Palmerston's forts. They're dotted particularly around Plymouth Sound on both the Devon side and the Cornwall side. But this is one here going out into the Bristol Channel, following a visit from Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, who thought even that this part of the coastline was not particularly well defended, so she insisted that it was built here. So after construction in 1871, it was operated with seven gun batteries from there, but it all came to an end in 1900, as I'll talk about shortly. Now, after it came to an end in 1900, as for reasons I'll mention, it was brought back into use in 1940 with the start of the, well, obviously for Second World War started in 1939, but this operations here was an armaments and explosives test unit here at the end of Brean Down, and that's what this building here dates from. It certainly makes a very impressive site. It's actually bigger than what I thought it would be. Certainly bigger than the two. I think it's one that's Scrayston in southeast Cornwall there, which I'm familiar with, and Tregantle. It looks bigger than those, but probably is about the same size, I guess. So that's going to be my route back to Weston Super Mare, along the lower path there, and then following the original route back to Uphill. And you are allowed in, there's no charge. And it's owned by the National Trust. I think it's also looked after by Natural England as well. So we'll go through the gates here. Help if I push it the right way, wouldn't it? There we go. There's a cattle grid there. There are actually some goats on Brean Down, but I haven't seen any as yet. Here we are. Welcome to Brean Down Fort. Glad to be finally here. So you are rewarded by that long walk along the top of the down by coming here to the fortifications at the end of it, and you can take yourself around on a guided tour at will. Now you have got interpretive boards here, so this is telling us 1870s as we know, and we go down the steps to the underground magazine where the gunpowder was stored. 100-pound barrels of gunpowder were lowered down into it using a pulley, and the archway beside the pulley leads into the lamp passage. Wow, that's impressive. Look at that. Apologise for the grainy footage down here. It's quite dark and cavernous amongst these thick walls that would have protected the gunpowder going off, just spreading to the rest of the fort and the gun emplacements. Just imagine being based here as a soldier right out on the very windswept Bristol Channel. Must have been a rather a bleak place. As the information board tells us, the building down there on the cliff post was a searchlight post built during the Second World War, not part of Palmerston's fort, and another lies on the cliff to the south of the fort. They are made of reinforced concrete and covered with camouflage paint. A cantilever roof which could be flipped back to the sea. See the tracking down there as well. It also says that the track down there, nothing to do with railways, was a trolley to carry the bomb down the track on impact with buffers at the far end to project it into the air. But the trolley travelled so fast that it often burst into flames, crashed through the buffers and took the whole lot over the side of the cliff. Wow. Now, as far as the original Palmerston fort envisaged by Queen Victoria to beef up the defences here on the Bristol Channel, it all came to an end on the 6th of July 1900. Why? Well, one of the gunners possibly attempted suicide and he fired a gunshot down one of the shafts for the magazine, setting the whole lot up in fire, gun smoke, also exploding some of the gunpowder here, which wrecked a lot of the fort, taking it out of action until it was resurrected again during World War II. So this is a gun emplacement from 1941. It was actually built on the site of the 1900 explosion, which I spoke about. Whether that was an accident, deliberate, or an attempted suicide, nobody really knows. But this here was equipped with a 6-inch naval gun from scrapped First World War ships, and they had a range of up to 20 miles, which is twice the width of the Bristol Channel at this point. You can see that they would have been connected up there with those huge bolts above. Well, this here is the barrack room dating from 1870, but it was also used after the Palmerston fort's time, again during World War II. The fireplace that's over there, the remains of it, was an addition during World War II itself, not from the 1870 times. This actually housed about 20 men, so not huge. It does actually extend on right round there, so it's fairly generous sized accommodation that's provided for the men here, stationed here at Brean Down. But most of the time only 4 or 5 gunners would be here because they operated a shift system working on in the other outlets there, and obviously that would have been over a 24-hour period. Well, I'm going to close off this part of the video here. I'm going to put my main camera away now, my main vlogging camera, because I want to take out my telephoto lens, or camera with a telephoto lens on, if you see what I mean, to get some other shots for you. I'm going to make my way in a moment on that lower path, heading over to Uphill, when I close the video off there. Now, probably by the time I get there, it's going to be dusk, if not even in darkness, so bear that in mind, but I hope to tell you a little bit about that. Hope you enjoyed the walk so far, and I'll see you in a bit after this short break. Well, I finally got to the top of Uphill. It's been a stunning and breathtaking walk with the sunset over there. The sun just dipping down now over the Bristol Channel, and that's where we were earlier there, over there on Brean Down. I'll insert a close-up of that now. And that tower, which was the windmill, is just behind me here. Just do a close-up of that as well, because it looks like there's an internal staircase and that, and they've mounted a fire beacon on the top of it, so they obviously light that up for special occasions. The church, in fact, is over here, just hidden behind there. I think it's locked up at the moment though, so I can't actually explore that, so perhaps when we have a look at other aspects of Weston Super Mare, we'll have a look at that on another day. Just tell you a little bit more about Uphill and the site here just before I close the video off. Now, what's amazing about the site here at Uphill is that man has been living here some 28,000 years before present, so that's the Paleolithic period, and hereabouts were some caves. I'm not sure if they were down here on the quarry face, which goes steeply down to the marina down the bottom there, so I'm certainly not walking down there, but there were caves here, and bone fragments and tools have been found here, and that's what I was talking about earlier on when we were coming through here earlier on today, saying about the carbon dating, so that's how they know it goes back to those times. But yeah, caves hereabouts, you can just imagine, because it's such a high strategic site over there, over the Axe estuary as it enters the Bristol Channel, and indeed the Bristol Channel itself over to Brean Down, how important a fortification this was here. Obviously Weston Super Mare on the other side, which is where I'm going to be descending to shortly to catch my train back home. That hadn't even been built in those days. Now the fort that's down there was a port. It was actually a free port, site of the present day marina, which meant that no taxes needed to be payable, which gave it an advantage over upstream Bristol, some 25 miles to the north of where I currently am. So they could land here. In fact, in the 15th and 16th centuries, it sounds incredible, but they used to bring across livestock from South Wales across the Bristol Channel, and they would graze them here on the fertile Somerset level plain before taking them back by boat to South Wales. Yeah, it's amazing. So we're looking about 400 odd years ago. They were moving livestock to and fro across the Bristol Channel from Wales here. So it's an important strategic point, and in fact they used to import later on, the 18th and 19th century, towards the Industrial Revolution. Things like coal from South Wales would come here, and local goods produced in this part of Somerset would have been exported and taken across there. So a lot of trade toing and froing from the port here at Uphill, now largely forgotten, but later on of course we saw a more Industrial Revolution side of it because of the quarries here with those lime kilns. But today it's now just given over to the leisure industry with the marina here Uphill. So that's it for today here on West Country Wanderings. I hope you joined my coastal walk from the town of Weston Super Mare to Brean Down and the amazing Brean Fort. Hope you enjoyed it. I say I have come using public transport, apart from driving to Cam and Dursley station, just a few miles from where I live in Gloucestershire. But yeah, so you can access it via public transport, and say you can do it as a circuit walk, so you can carry on walking around to Burnham-on-Sea, walking around to Highbridge. That's only about a mile between those two, but bear in mind, if you do walk to Burnham, it is a long walk across the sand there, which is quite soft, so that can be a little bit challenging, but that's a different way of doing it if you want to do it in that way. So yeah, it's a really wonderful place to come. Just giving you food for thought, and the maps that I've done today from the route, that'll be linked in the description of today's video. Until next time in West Country Wanderings, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.